Alicia Burnett, and I own and operate Wolf Jaw Press. I do a lot of different things. I don't know if I could like call myself just one thing. I'm a printmaker, and I'm a graphic designer. And I guess if I had to sum that up in one word, I would just say that I'm a creative person who's interested in a lot of different disciplines. When I was young, I had like a crazy imagination, and one of the things I loved was I was always like obsessed with animals. Like I wanted to like be on the farms in upstate New York and like look at the animals and like touch them and pet them and play with them. I was reading books about animals. I was drawing them. So I think that's just, I don't know why, but that's just always been a part of my like personality. It's just like really being obsessed with animals. And so I fast forward from childhood to college, and I attended the Rhode Island School of Design, and I decided to be an illustration major, which was a huge decision, or what it felt like a huge decision at the time, because I was like, should I do printmaking? Should I do textiles? Should I do graphic design? Should I do illustration? And to me, illustration, it seemed like the broadest major that had the most flexibility. Because I was like, okay, I can't build things, I'm not interested in building things. So sort of like the catch-all was like illustration, where illustrators, I think, learn a lot of different skills and can do a lot of different things. So I started being an illustration major sophomore year, I think I decided. And then through RISD, I kind of found different printmaking techniques, and then I just kind of gravitated towards silk screening. And with my like love of animals, it just kind of became like a natural subject matter. So I was like, oh, here's this process I really like, and here's this subject matter I really like. So yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And then after I graduated from RISD, I, with the help of my dad, who is like an amazing craftsperson, kind of like built some silkscreen equipment. And yeah, so that's where I am. When I was in New York City going to grad school, one thing I loved was just having museums everywhere and going to different museums. And I really like romanticism. It was this, I don't know how much, I don't want to like lecture you on like art history.
Oh, go ahead and lecture.
But I've been trying to like learn more about romanticism. So I would go into the Met and I would see paintings that I loved, and I would be like, because when I see art, I'll have this like gut reaction of like, I love this. But then I step back and I try to analyze. I'm like, okay, like I love this, but like, why? Like, what about, is it the colors, is it the subject matter? Like, why do I like this? And trying to like figure out why I like that so I can bring that into my own work is really important. So when I was at the Met, I did a little bit of research, and I realized that I really loved the romantic painters. And it's a really broad movement, but the paintings that I like, they have these beautiful dynamic paintings of a lot of animals. Like they'll have lions and horses, and they're just like these really dramatic poses. And it was all about like the ferocity of nature and how like beautiful it was. And it was like romanticism was like this reaction against the Enlightenment movement. So it was like you have all these philosophers trying to be as rational as possible, and then you have the artists being like, no, like life is about emotion and passion and things that are like unpredictable and beautiful, and I don't know, like that really spoke to me. So I really like the romantic painters of Europe during, I think it was like the 18th century. So I'm still trying to like suss out my inspirations and trying to, you know, what I said before, trying to like analyze all these different things that I'm interested in, finding out why I'm interested, and then taking that into my own work.
It's like a constant search, isn't it?
Yeah, I think one of the things, I can't remember which professor at RISD said it, I think all of them were probably saying this, is like, look at work. Like, it is so easy to just get absorbed, like, in your own studio, but the best thing you can do for yourself as an artist is just get out there and look at work in the past. Like, study art history. Look at what your peers are doing. I think just looking at art is so important. I think the best artists, you know, they can look at their work and be like, this is good, but it could be better.
Right.
Because you have to balance, of course you have to be critical and objective about your own work, but you also can't be negative or like putting yourself down, because if you're not being a cheerleader for yourself or for your own work, like who else is gonna believe you if you think your own work is like crap?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a balance of like believing in yourself and believing your work is good, but also knowing that of course it could be better.
Well, tell us about like your process. Like how long would like a, that beat? How long did that take you?
Let's see. So I think for this beat, maybe start to finish, if I had to think about it in hours, maybe like 10-ish, 15-ish.
Really?
Just because it's like smaller. So like sketching it and then cutting the rubelith, maybe that was like maybe that was like a half a day, maybe like 4 hours, maybe a little less. And then, you have to like expose the screens and like mix the ink and do all that kind of stuff. So maybe not 10 hours, maybe a full day of work, maybe like 8 hours, like start to finish. It is, but like when you find something you love, it doesn't feel like work. And that's like what's so great about doing this stuff is like it is tedious. It can be there are like frustrating like elements, but at the end of the day, like it's so satisfying and I just like love doing it. So it's work, but it doesn't feel like work.
So what's it like at the end of the day when you have that print? Like, well, how do you feel when it's all finished and like you just spent all day working on it and now it's completely done?
Oh, it's like the best feeling in the world. Yeah, you feel victorious.
Yeah.
Yes. You're just like, it's amazing. It's like it's an amazing feeling. It's addictive. Where like I want to like dive right into another print. So when I'm cutting rubelith, I usually listen to music just because it is a little tedious. And I find that I will like get distracted and start like wandering off. So if I'm listening to like an audiobook, or if I'm listening to NPR, or if I'm just like listening to like my iTunes, just having like that on while I'm working on, like it helps me like sit in one spot and like finish it. But when I'm printing, it's pretty intense because you're like, I can't stop, I gotta do this. So then I won't listen to anything.
It's just like
because there's so much like focus on like what I'm doing. So then I like don't need the music. But yeah, so in the beginning, I'll definitely listen to music, and I love of course I love like sunlight. Like I'm working on like a bright sunny day, like sitting in front of a window, just like drawing or sketching. Like
nothing better than that.
Yeah, that's like awesome. And I think it's so important to like live with passion, even if you're struggling or if you don't know how things are gonna work out. I feel so good that I have things that I care about and things that like I wake up and I'm like, all right, like let's do this, or let's try to make this work. Happiness in life has that intersection is like a philosophical debate for the ages.
Oh, always.
But I think happiness stems from purpose, just feeling like you have a purpose, and that purpose gives you direction and structure. And I think that provides people with happiness, maybe. And I think it's also important to note that while thinking about the future is great, like something that I need to remind myself is to be happy with the now and be in the present. Where I'm pretty sure the term is called, I don't know if you're familiar with it, the hedonic treadmill.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
And it's basically saying that like healthy humans, unless you have like a chemical imbalance because of like depression or another mental illness, we always try to be in an equilibrium of happiness. So things like if you get a job, a raise at your job, or if you buy a new car, that happiness like goes up. But that like elevated level of happiness is only temporary, and then you kind of like settle back like into your equilibrium.
Right.
Or let's say something terrible happens, you lose your job, a loved one dies, you sink down, but you feel sad, you feel a little lost, you feel grief, but eventually like you raise back to that equilibrium. So I think for me, I have to realize that the future isn't gonna be like automatically amazing or better, and of course I want to keep chasing my goals and like reaching my goals, but I have to take a step back and realize it's like No, now is good.
Yeah.
And I'm doing okay, and just maybe celebrating now and celebrating today, and not being too obsessed or worried about the future. Just like what I try to do is I try to find at least like one thing every day to just like celebrate or be happy about. If it's making a little bit of progress on a silk screen print, if it's talking to one of my friends, who lives in California, just like connecting with her, or even just like sitting down and like having a good conversation over coffee, like that's like an awesome thing that I'm happy about. So yeah. And I think what's important to realize is that positivity breeds positivity, and negativity will breed negativity. So I think if you project light and goodness out into the world, like it'll find its way back to you somehow.
It's so interesting how that happens.
Maybe that's too like philosophical or hippy dippy, but like I do believe that like positivity will attract other positivity.
Definitely.
And you have to. There's no harm in being optimistic.
Absolutely.
There's no harm in being optimistic. And I think, plan and be a realist, and, I think planning is important. But, yeah, like I said, there's no harm in being optimistic.